How's it going? Today we're going to do a little phone surgery. I have an iPhone X here, and I had a pretty hard drop with it. I did have a case on it, so the screen didn't crack on me, but the screen started kind of glitching out on me to the point where the touch didn't work, and I had to replace it. I've replaced it with an LCD screen, and the LCD screen worked pretty well, but there was a little touch inconsistencies with it, so I called the company where I bought it from, and they sent me a new screen as well as a new adhesive to replace it. And also, when I made the initial repair, my FaceID didn't work for some reason. So when I do the repair this time, I'm going to actually go over some inspection of what might be causing that, and hopefully I could fix the repair. All right, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is power your phone down. If you can. Otherwise, let the battery die. It'll be safer for everything else in there. I like to lay down some clean sheets of paper. It gives me a good contrast for any screws or anything that I might need to put down. And I could also use a pencil if I needed to mark or draw where the screws might go. First, I'll take the pentalobe screwdriver, remove the two bottom screws. So they don't roll away. I'll keep them in a magnetic dish. Now I need to soften the adhesive around here. What I've been using, it's been working out pretty well, you just need to be very careful with it, is a heat gun. I'm going to use it on a low setting because it would actually get hot enough to melt and damage my phone. I'm going to make sure that throughout the process that my phone does not get too hot. It's recommended to use one of those heat tools that you could heat in the microwave and kind of melt it up. I don't have one of these, so I'm going to improvise. Keep it on the low setting, add a distance, and wait. Now I've been heating this for about 3 or 4 minutes and been very careful not to heat one point too much rather than another point. So I'm moving the heat around, and if it gets too hot, I'm pulling it away and making sure that the heat is transferring evenly across the glass so I don't cause any cracks, and then I don't overheat the phone itself. So be very careful if you're using the heat gun method, and be patient. I want to make sure that the heat transfers through the glass to the adhesive itself. Try to move your suction cup low to the bottom. You'll grab a guitar pick and just try to get in there. Be careful that you don't stab too deep into the phone. That's why I'm holding it close to the edge. I'm going to slightly lift and start separating where my adhesive is. And you can see that I'm in. I'll slowly start sliding to the left side of the phone without penetrating too deep. And if you have concerns about it re-adhering on the bottom, you could put something in there to make sure that it doesn't come back down. And start slowly and carefully working your way around the phone. As you get to the lock button, proceed with caution because that's where the display cables are. If you sever those cables, you might have some problems. Very shallow. You should be able to open it like a book. And you can see the adhesive strips starting to come up already. When you open it, be careful you don't bend these tabs that are in the back there. If those are all the way in the phone and you start flexing it open like a book, those tend to bend, so just be careful. This is just adhesive strip, which will have to be removed anyway, and I'm glad it's coming off pretty easily. Next step is to get a tri-point 000 screwdriver and remove the plate that covers the cable connections. I'll lay those in the order that they came out, just so I can put them back in the same spot in case they're of different lengths, which some of them are. Next, you're going to want to remove the cover carefully. I'll place that near the screws. And if you follow the cable from the battery, you could remove the battery cable first, which I believe is this connection. And you can start removing your display cables. This is the cable for the front camera and Face ID. There's a little adhesive under here. Carefully remove that. This is actually the cable I'm going to inspect and make sure that there's no problems with it. Once your old screen is removed, you can get to work on removing the adhesive. And sometimes using a tool like this, you could pretty much roll it off all the way around. Careful by components like the front camera. And make sure that's very clean. If you need to scrape a little bit, make sure you're using plastic, not to hit any components. You could even use a Goo Gone to remove some of that, but you need to make sure that you clean it very well so the new adhesive sticks to there in order to make it watertight. Next, I'll inspect the Face ID cable and then remove the Face ID mechanism from the old display and put it on the new display. One of the hardest things to reattach is this grounding clip. There's a small screw there, tri-tip screw, and that grounding clip needs to make contact with the body of the phone. And that in itself could be my problem. There's the screw. And there's the grounding clip. So again, I'll move these in position as if the phone were like this. Screw there and grounding clip, and it looks like one more screw. Inspecting the cable itself, there was a little additional fold there, but it does not seem damaged. I don't see it being severed. There's a little adhesive here. So I'm ready to attach the speaker and Face ID to the new screen. I'm going to clean it by using some spray air. Don't spray any air near your workstation because your screws may move around, so I'll go off to the side. And it looks like I have a small smudge right here, which I will clean with alcohol. At this point, my Face ID does not work, so I have nothing to lose. I'm hoping this doesn't damage it any worse, but there is a smudge there. I might have put a fingerprint or something on that. So I'll take a little alcohol wipe, clean that, and everything else seems okay. You need to peel back some of the protective plastic here carefully. Put a little crease in there so that doesn't get clamped down. Okay, that smudge looks a lot better. It looks clean. Everything else seems okay, so I'll hope for the best. Make sure that grounding clip is positioned properly and that it's not bent. You can go back and tighten all 3 screws. It doesn't hurt to hold the grounding clip in position while you tighten it. It's a good idea to test the screen before you put an adhesive strip on. In the event that it doesn't work, you don't waste the adhesive strip. So I'm just going to connect the screen, the FaceID, and the battery last. Okay, it seems that the touch screen is working. I'm going to go ahead and power it back down and apply the adhesive. For the battery cable that should be disconnected is the one closest to the bottom. You can see that it's connected directly to the battery. So make sure that's disconnected or that your phone is completely powered off before putting on your new screen. Before applying your adhesive strip, you're going to want to clean all around the edges with an alcohol wipe. Careful not to damage any of the interior components. It helps, you can use a Q-tip, some isopropyl alcohol, pay extra special attention near the cameras. And then I'll take my duster and clean off any dust. You have to figure out where these cutouts are and what they line up with to make sure that you're applying this appropriately. And you see that I moved it around a few times, and I'm looking for that little kind of backwards P shape that lined up with the cameras up top. Second hole there for the camera. And I am ready to remove the bottom portion. Try not to touch it. Believe it or not, this is probably the hardest part of the repair. Might not be a bad idea when you're purchasing to get 2 of these. First one's for practice. I will try to start to line up at the bottom. As long as you get it started well, it will finish well. Slowly working my way up, pressing it into position. No, it looks like it's intact. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, let's reattach the screen. Make sure everything is firmly pressed in, and then I'll reattach the cable cover. Just make sure you don't kink any cables as you put the screen back in. Work your way around the edges. Replace your pentalobe screws in the bottom. And just to make sure that I got a good seal, I'm going to reheat the phone, flip it upside down, and put some weight on it until it completely cools. That will help the new adhesive strip soften and then cool while everything is in place. And when you're letting it cool, really give it some time, 10, even 20 minutes, because you, in essence, have insulated it by putting all those books on top of it, and it really takes some time to cool. So everything's back to normal. Everything is working. The touchscreen, 3D touch, everything works. However, the Face ID is still not working. It recognizes my face. It knows it's there, but I keep getting an error to move it lower and move it higher, so it's just not syncing correctly. I'm going to continue to troubleshoot that, but I'm just glad to have this back for a lot cheaper than if I actually sent it to Apple and tried to get the screen repair. I think they charge around $300, and I got that done for probably around between $60 and $70, including some tools and the adhesive that I needed to buy. So phone is back up and running. I guess I could deal with putting in an ID code or a PIN code until I get that Face ID fixed. All right, thanks for watching.